Hello and welcome back. This is the Purpose and Power Podcast, and I am your host, Renelle Brooks. And this is where we align faith and strategy so that you can build what God has placed in your hands on purpose with power. Today, we're going to continue in our 3-part foundational series, Lead with Purpose, laying the foundation for vision-driven success. In our last episode, guys, we talked about mission, your why in action. We've been building this for a few episodes now, and we're actually getting this foundation strong so that we can build for the long haul. We can build for sustainability. We can build way up high. If you guys listen to any of my other episodes, you know that I told you about the story when I worked at the South African consulate, and they had a building that was coming up next to ours. But before they built, they dug so deep. And I just kept looking down saying, when are they going to actually start to build? But they dug and dug down way deep so that they could put a foundation that would be sustainable for the level of the high rise that they were building. We didn't know what they were building, but they were actually building a high rise. And so to be able to go that high, they had to go really low. And that could be a whole lot of story right there. That could speak to a lot of things. But building this foundation is very important. And, you know, I will probably continue to talk about the foundation all throughout most of the episodes on the podcast, because it is crucial to build a good foundation. And so with that, whether you're working in your purpose and you're trying to figure out what that is, whether you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, or if you are a nonprofit leader, a director, or an organizational manager that has to flesh things out. You may be running a foundation, or you may want to start a foundation, or you may have philanthropy efforts. It is so crucial that you build correctly. The mission, vision, and core values, those are foundational elements that you will always go back to and will keep your business, your purpose, your organization, your foundation in correct alignment so you don't veer off. So today we're going to zoom out a bit, because last week we talked about mission. Because if your mission is your map, then your vision is the destination. Today's topic is vision that sees ahead, casting the future before it comes. So vision is a picture of the future that reflects your faith, your strategy, and your imagination. It's what you're moving towards. It's the impact you dream of creating when your mission is fully lived out. And if you guys remember in our last episode, when we talked about mission, we talked about how you do what you do. What do you do, and who do you do it to? Meaning, who do you serve? The vision is what you see before it ever becomes physical. It's the future you are called to shape. And so when we think about that, we can look at Habakkuk 2:2, and that says, write the vision and make it plain on tablets that he may run who reads it. Did you catch that? Write it. Make it plain so others can run with it. Your vision isn't just for you, just like your mission. It is not just for you. So it's not okay to say, I know the mission, I don't have to write it out, because there are so many other people that want to come alongside of you and they want to know what you're doing. If you cannot clearly state that, how will they be able to help you? And so this is about getting clarity for your vision and your mission, guys. It's not about you. It's the fuel for those that are running alongside of you. So that can mean your board. That could mean sponsors. That can mean donors. That can mean employees that will carry that vision on throughout your organization or throughout your business. So why do you need a clear vision? And we kind of went into a little bit, but we're going to talk about it a little bit deeper. So too many leaders build businesses or ministries just trying to survive, but never stop to ask, what are we building toward? Even as I do these podcasts, I am leading you to something. I'm not just talking randomly every time I get on here. There is a goal. I'm leading you towards building strong, sustainable foundations so that you can then build strong, sustainable organizations, networks. You have logical frameworks that you can follow and understand. So as you build your organizations, as you walk in your purpose, you have a guide, you have tools, because let's face it, guys, purpose is not just for you. Your purpose is for the nations. Your purpose is for the community that you serve. Your purpose is for your family. It is not just for you. So from the smallest level to the largest level, whatever God has put in your hands to do, have a strategy, guys, and build correctly so that it can be sustainable. And that's the most important thing, because we're talking about excellence here. We're talking about sustainability. We're talking about being able to move forward in what you were created to do. You don't want that all to fizzle down simply because you did not have a plan. So what are we really building toward? Without a vision, you cannot cast direction for your team. Think about it. There are people that have to come alongside of you because you are not an island. You don't work in silo. There are people that have to come alongside of you to help you build the vision that God has given you. And if you think about it, everything that God gives us is always bigger than we are. It's not just us. If we can do it by ourselves, that's not the vision that God is saying. If you think about it, everything that God does is huge. It's on a large scale. So we need help in being able to do that. So you can't cast direction without the vision for your team, for your sponsor, for your board, for your art, for your donors. You waste time on good ideas that don't serve your purpose. So let's talk about that. Every idea is not an idea for you. You know, every good thing is not a good thing for you. So you won't know what to say no to if you do not have a vision. If you have a vision, every goal, every task, every action item, every objective points back to that vision and mission. But if you don't have that, then you could veer off. You could get discouraged because there's no compelling why beyond your growth. So you could just be growing, but you don't have a focus, you don't have a cause, you don't have a direction. But with a vision, you set goals that actually align with your long-term purpose. So I want to kind of step back, because without a vision, you know, the scripture says that the people perish. That means they'll go from here to there, but never get anywhere and never get anything accomplished. I'm just decreeing, I'm just saying over you that that is not your portion. You have a purpose and you have a vision, and God's going to give you a strategic plan to carry that out to the fullest. You will do everything that God had created you to do from the beginning of time. So I want to tell you a quick story. Some years ago, I did some work with an organization that wanted to promote and do a nutrition program for low-income communities. So our desire was to assist families in embracing healthier lifestyles with nutrition. So in the last mini-series, we did that problem tree, and we talked about root causes. We talked about the actual problem. We talked about the effects of the problem. And so you're going to see that here. So it was difficult because in order to have the families embrace the healthy lifestyles, and that was our vision, in order to have them do that, we had to go through all of the obstacles, all of the challenges that needed to be addressed. Therein lies the problem. So as I said before, I talked to you guys about problems that need to be solved and the different aspects of really getting down to what problem you are uniquely solving. So we encountered the symptoms. We encountered the core problems. We encountered the root causes. So let's take a look at that. In our efforts to create a community that embraced healthy lifestyles, these are the challenges that we encountered. city mapping. So if you guys don't know, every city has different zones. Within the zone, you may have an area that's zoned for retail. You may have an area that's zoned for housing. You may have an area that's zoned strictly for recreation. And so in the areas that we wanted to go into, the city mapping was an obstacle for us because every place that we wanted to go in was low income areas, and they did not have grocery stores that were accessible to low income families. That may seem strange to you, but it is a thing. So within the city mapping itself, it posed a root cause of why people did not have healthy lifestyles. So another obstacle, we have more liquor stores that were accessible than grocery stores. So we did not have the grocery stores that we needed so that people would have the access to healthy nutrition. And to top it off, we had liquor stores in plethora in the low income areas. What that meant is what the people had access to was not nutrition based. If you go into a liquor store, you'll find chips, you'll find sodas, candy. So all the things that were not leading to healthy lifestyles. That was another root cause. Another root cause of them not being able to have healthy nutrition was a lack of transportation. So if you're on a bike or if you're walking and then you have the issue of grocery stores not being closed, you're going to go to the closest thing, which were the liquor stores. Then we had a lack of understanding of how to eat healthy because they never knew what eating healthy looked like because their surroundings were not conducive to that. So think about that like on a community level, guys. Goals are important. So here's when you want to shift a family, a community, or a nation. The first thing you're going to start with is education and access as a short-term goal. And we'll get into goals later, but I just want to show you this. In developing a vision, you have to know what the problem is that you're going to solve. And yes, our vision was to create healthy families and healthy lifestyles in the low-income communities. So how could we even do that? It was by our mission, and our goals then had to support our mission. So again, the short-term goal, when you're going to change something as big as that, the very first thing you start with is education and access. So this is what it means. Once you have a vision, you're actually developing goals that will lead you moving toward that long-term purpose. And so that's what we had to do. We had to begin little by little with education. We had to educate the community through classes. We had to educate the community through access to the information. That's where we started. Well, there's a saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So when you're going to change your community, when you're going to change your family, when you're going to change a nation, it all starts with these foundational things. And that's why it's so important. I just wanted to show you the buildup. We'll get into all those things in later episodes, but your vision is the overarching arm. Then you have your mission. Then you have your goals. You have your actionable steps, your objectives, your measurements, and how you're going to reach everything. So you inspire people to join your cause, not just your product. When you have a vision, you make decisions through the lens of legacy because you know this is going to be there for the long haul. So the vision pulls you forward when things get hard. And we talked about this before. We're not always motivated to come to work every day. We have challenges that arise. We have obstacles that we need to jump over, walk through. When you have the vision, it reminds you, I'm not doing this just for now. I'm doing this for what's next. Like when I think about the vision of Purpose Inc., we bring clarity, and we're doing it so that God's purpose can be put in the earth for generations and generations to come. We're looking at what God wants in the earth 10 years from now, and how can we help push that along? How can we bring clarity? How can we develop strategic plans for people to move forward in what God wants in the earth 5 years, 10 years from now? You know, you can look at so many different things. Look at Joseph, and that's what comes to mind. Joseph understood his assignment. He understood the dream. God gave him the strategic plan, guys. He gave him the strategic plan. For 7 years, he worked that plan and saved nations, not just one nation, but nation beyond nation beyond nations, because the famine went through nations. But he strategically stored up in every single province what he needed for the time of famine, not just for him, but for all the surrounding nations. So when things get hard, that vision pulls you in to say, I'm not doing this for now. I'm doing this for what's next. So how does the vision differ from the mission? So let's clear up some common confusion, because a lot of times I have clients that don't understand what the difference is. The mission is what you do for whom and how. And your time frame is for the present. It's for the now. The vision is a long-term impact of your mission, and the time frame is the future. So let me give you an example. I want to make this really plain. So here's an example of a mission, and we talked about this in the last episode. We provide trauma-informed mentorship and housing for teenage girls in foster care. Mission. I'm going to say it again. We provide trauma-informed mentorship and housing for teenage girls in foster care. So our vision is a world where every young woman leaving the foster system thrives in stable housing, emotional health, and purpose. Do you see how we shifted that to a broader sense, to a future sense? Where the mission is focused and specific, the vision is expansive. Where the mission is measured, the vision is imagined. And that's for the future. That's what you want to go towards. That's what you want to drive towards. So how do you craft a vision that inspires and aligns? Your vision needs to answer these questions. So grab a piece of paper or your digital journal. So your vision needs to answer these questions. What do we want the world to look like because we existed? What should the world look like because you existed? Because your business existed, because your organization existed, because your foundation existed, because your philanthropical work existed. What transformation do you want to see in people, systems, and society? What future are we building that others would want to invest in, support, and join? Your vision should be aspirational, bigger than what you can do alone, as we talked about before. Your vision should be rooted in purpose, aligned with your values and your calling. I cannot wait to get to values. It's so important to me, and it should be so important to you as well, for your organization, for your business, for your culture, for your purpose, for your life. What values do you uphold in your own life? It should be emotional. It should feel worth fighting for. So here's some examples of a few clear vision statements. For a nonprofit, check this one out. A future where every child in underserved communities has access to quality education and mentorship. That's just an example of a nonprofit vision. Let's look at a faith-based business vision. A generation of women who walk boldly in their God-given identity, creating legacies of faith, family, and financial freedom. That is a faith-based business vision. Are you getting a gist of what we're talking about here? So I'm going to tell you some things to avoid when you are writing the vision. Here are 3 traps that kill a powerful vision. One is the imposter syndrome. Guys, we really need to know that God have created us to do some amazing things. And I know, trust me, I know throughout life we have so many different things that try to drag us down at times. But in our purpose, in our businesses, in our organizations, we need to know that God have called us to it. So one thing you may be saying or may come across your mind is, who am I to dream this big? What if you're the only one to dream that big and you decide not to because you don't feel like you are worthy to dream big? Guys, I'm dreaming big. It has to be way bigger. Global Solutionists. Come on, guys, let's dream big. You know how we used to be like, I dare you, and dare God to do it. He's the one that gives us the ideas. So just know that you are called to it. God gave you the burden for a reason. Whatever it is that you have in your mind as an idea to do, or a business to do, or organization to do, God's giving you the idea. He called you to it. So another thing that can destroy a vision is short-term thinking. Guys, like I said, the vision has to be so much bigger. We cannot think in the now for everything. If your vision only addresses what you can do in 6 months, it's not big enough. I remember towards the end of last year, God was telling me, write the vision, write the vision, write the vision. So I wrote the vision and I'm like, okay, cool. I wrote the vision. And then the Lord said, this isn't enough. This is not the whole vision. Write the whole vision. Guys, I'm still writing 6 months later. So if your vision only addresses what you can do in 6 months, it is not big enough. Another thing that can kill vision is the fear of clarity. Sometimes people now listen to what I'm saying. Sometimes people keep the vision vague because vague goals can't fail. So really, it's not a fear of clarity. It's a fear of failure. And we have to deal with that. We have to deal with things are going to happen at times. We're going to get back up and keep moving because God has called us to it. So I'm going to repeat that. Sometimes people keep the vision vague because vague goals cannot fail. But guess what? Clarity honors God. So would you be worried about the fear of failure more or honoring God more? Sometimes we just have to ask ourselves these questions so that we can get through it and keep moving forward. Psalms 29:18 reminds us that where there is no vision, the people perish. But also, guys, the opposite is true. Where there is vision, people flourish. So let's go there today, guys. I'm going to put my coaching hat on. Take out your notes or your digital journal, and we're going to sit with these prompts today. If everything worked out, what would my business or nonprofit or purpose look like in 10 years? I'm going to say it again. This is going to get you guys to dream big. If everything worked out, What would my business, my purpose, my nonprofit, my organization look like in 10 years? What legacy will my work leave behind for my family, for my clients, for the world? What change would I fight for even if no one clapped? No one patted you on the back. No one donated. No one gave you an extra, hey, you're doing such a good job. What change would you fight for, even if no one clapped? So after you flesh those prompts out, I want you to write a short vision statement, no longer than 2 or 3 sentences, that reflects the future you're building. So ask yourself, as you write down your draft, would this make someone want to be a part of it? Would this make someone feel something? Got to pull on those heartstrings. Your vision should speak to both the head and the heart. So guys, purpose and power both require clarity. And your vision is heaven's preview of what your obedience can build. Guys, I am excited to get into the core values section of this mini series. So next week, we'll bring it all home with the final foundational pillar, core values, the culture code and character compass that governs your work. But today, I want you to dream in the direction of your future. I want you to cast the vision, write it down, and if you need help clarifying your long-term vision, contact us at Purpose Inc. Our discovery call is free for 30 minutes, and it will help you get some direction. Our next episode is core values, culture, character, and the code you lead by. This has been an awesome episode. Until next time, guys, dream boldly, act purposefully, and keep building what God already showed you. Bye-bye.